everybody, it's Cathryn from In the Pink Designs. My project today is a bunny window box that holds, well, it opens like this, and it holds the Cadbury Chocolate Eggs. Now, if they're going to be consumed pretty quickly, you don't have to put them in a cello bag, but it's still a bit till Easter, so I figured I would put them in a cello bag inside here. It measures 3 by 3 by 1. Yep. Okay, and I used this punch, which I know is not available again till May, which is pretty distressing. But if you already have it, you can use that. If not, I would use just a circle or a square. And then put one of these figures, just fussy cut it and put one of those figures on there. Alright, I'm sorry if you didn't get a chance to get that yet. I also used the Easter Bunny stamp set and the Something Fancy dies for the sentiment on there. Okie doke. What we need for this project, you get 2 of these from every sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So the DSP we need is 8.5 by 5.5. We need a piece of window sheet that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. 2 pieces of the Awash and Beauty DSP that are 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 also, and 4 pieces that are 3/4 by 2 3/4. All right. Okay. So this is my host code. Please put that in if you're going to be purchasing on my website, which is linked below. Anything under $150 with Stampin Up, please put that in. Alrighty. Simply scored. And we're going to be starting on the 8.5 inch side. And we're going to score at 1, 4, 5, and 8. And then we're going to turn it to the 5.5 inch side, and we're going to score at 1, 4, and 5. And all those measurements will be on my blog that is linked below. Alright, so now I'm just going to fold and burnish. Now, how this is sitting here, the skinniest rectangle is on the right hand side, and there's also a skinniest rectangle on the top. So on the top and on the right, and on the left and on the bottom are 1 inch. And this is what we're going to be doing. Okay, so we're going to start on the left hand side. And we're going to go to the first score line. Now I leave the score lines that are attached to the bottom here. I leave that with the square. So I go right after the score line, but I only cut up to the score line on the top. Okay, and then when I wedge both sides of the square, I get rid of those score lines on the side when I make the tab. Alright, so then we're going to go up to the next score line, cut right before, up to the first score line. Go to right after the score line. The easy way to say it is the tabs, I just leave the score lines attached. Okay? And then when I wedge the tabs, the score lines disappear. So they don't leave any extra bulk we don't need. Okay, then go to the next score line, and I cut that to the first score line, leaving that score line attached to this piece we're cutting off. And then just wedge up into that skinny rectangle. And that's the bottom part. Right, now I'm going to turn it to the other side, and we're going to start on the left again. Go to the first score line. I leave it attached to these pieces that I'm going to take off. So to the second score line, and wedge up. Now you can leave them attached. It's all up to what you prefer. I like to get rid of them so they're not hanging out. Okay, now we're going to get rid of these 2. Alright, so I'm going to go to the next score line, cut it to the second score line, and then I'm going to remove these two, and I take the score line with it just so that it's nice and smooth. There's not a bump there. I know somebody asked me about this, and I don't know if I was clear enough. Okay, now we're going to the next score line. I leave that attached to the piece we're going to make the tab. The second score line we're cutting up to, if I didn't say that. Get rid of this piece on the bottom, and then wedge each side of the tab, which gets rid of those bulky score lines. Okay, now we're going to the next score line, cut it to the second score line, get rid of this rectangle on the bottom, and wedge each side of the square to make into a tab. Okay. All right, now we need a corner rounder. This one is a 1/2 inch, and this piece of the flap that's the tallest here, we're going to round both sides of this, because this is what tucks into the back of the box, so we want it nice and smooth to fit in there, so we round the corners. Okay, so this is what your cardstock should look like after you're done scoring it and cutting it. Okay, now we need one of your pieces of the Awash and Beauty DSP that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and we're going to attach it to the piece that has the flap. Okay. Now this is before we put the box together for this. Okay, and then we're going to put this, it's about 1/8 of an inch border all around of the DSP in that square. Okay, now we need to get our bunny punch, or at this point you can use a circle from the layering circle dies or the stylish shapes dies to just cut, or a square to cut the window out. But I'm going to be using the Easter Bunny punch. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to fold this flap under, the one at the bottom, and then we're going to make sure that we kind of get an equal amount. There's only about a 1/16 of an inch of that piece between the two score lines that sticks out. All right, so try to get that even, and then we're going to push, which I might have to stand up for this because it is on the bottom 2 pieces of cardstock, and then just slide it out sideways so you don't get anything caught. And then you can use this piece for another project, so that's really pretty cute. All right, so that's what it's going to look like after you cut your bunny window. Now we're going to flip it over, and we're going to put our piece of window sheet that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and I'm just going to put some glue kind of around the bunny. Leave at least 1/4 of an inch around without glue on the edges so that we can fit our window sheet in, and just gently press. And I'm just going to take a tissue and kind of press the edges, and if anything comes out, then it will get picked up by the tissue. Okay, and that's your window box. All right, so now we need some tear and tape, and we're going to put it on what's left of that skinny rectangle that was on the side. Use your take your pick tool to get the backing off. Okay, now flip the whole thing over. Flip the side with the tape, and then the other side to meet it. Okay, now I'm just going to close this for now. All right, now usually I will have you put the sides and the back down first, but since we have this cut here, I'm going to put the front down after the tabs. It's one of the only times that I have it so that there's a a seam on the front, but we really want to cover up this bottom of the bunny. So we're going to put a little bit of glue on this part, because if we put it on there, it might not go in. Okay, and then glue on the back of the back one, which is different than normal, and pull that forward. Just let that set a minute. Okay, then open your box and make sure that those tabs stick down. Okay. All right, now we're going to put the rest of our DSP on. We have another piece of the Awash and Beauty that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 for the back, and then 4 pieces for all of the sides that are 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, now everything is on. All of these DSP is connected. I'm going to take a small circle punch and just take a little finger grip, partial circle out of the middle of that back panel here, just so that it is much easier to grip when you open it. Okay, and now I have my Cadbury eggs, and this, the Cadbury eggs I got at Target, and the 3x5 lip and tape cello bags I got from Amazon. They were 100 for $5. Okay, now let's tie a bow. I'm going to use the little bit of Balmy Blue Variegated ribbon that I have left, and I'm just going to tie a little bow. Okay, now I'm going to get some glue dots, and I'm going to put one on each side of the knot. And just a little dab of liquid glue right on that knot. Alright, and then I'm going to put it right in this corner here, trying to get it so that the tails don't really cover too much of the bunny up. Okay, then we need our basic white cardstock again. Oh, there it is. Okay, and some Balmy Blue ink. And for the sentiment, I'm using an Easter treat for you. Great. And then I'm using this slanted die from the Something Fancy dies, and I'm going to put the sentiment towards the back, the end of it, and then I'm just going to cut it out, and I'll be right back. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to curl. I'm going to put my finger in front of the N and just bend it back a little bit, and then I'm going to curl a little bit of the end with my bone folder. And then I'm going to cut off about that much. Alright, and then it's going to just get tucked right in here. If a little bit of the N gets covered up, it's okay. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the end here. I'm just going to put my sentiment right there. Alright, and now for the final touch, I'm going to use some solid faceted gems in the Balmy Blue, which is these here. And I'm going to put a large one here, small one. Maybe over a little bit. There we go. And then another small one. Well, maybe a large one. Right up there. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this project. I love little bunnies. If you have any questions, my email is below. I believe the punch is going to be back in on May 13th, unfortunately, which is after Easter, but maybe it'll be in the new catalog for next Easter, which would be great. Alrighty, have a great day. The links are below for my blog and my shop. And please subscribe and hit the like button. And I will see you on Friday. Bye.